Hello and welcome to Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC.
A weekly podcast and YouTube channel where we discuss all things Wrexham.
So sit back, put your feet up, relax and let's get stuck in. Hello and welcome to episode 151 of Me, the Wife and Wrexham AFC. The parade of shirts continues for all of the people watching on YouTube. So this shirt is the 2011-2012 shirt. And I quite like this one, mainly because it fits me really well. And so it doesn't really matter if I like put weight on or whatever, this one remains to fit. So yeah, I like it. What's coming up on the show, Siân? Let's move on quickly.
Yeah, so on this week's show we look at two more championship teams. We talk about the Welcome to Wrexham, which was episode 4 last week. We talk about the ground. We've got an update on that. TST is back this week, and also we're going to talk about transfer rumours and the loan market, and also the legendary quiz.
I hate how annoyed you are by the quiz.
Because I am doing despicably at the moment.
Yeah, you are. You are doing really badly, but there we go. Look, a few comments to get through. Luke got in touch. He said, lovely banter as usual. Enjoyable for me. Thanks. He said, where do you think a training ground could be built realistically? Towards Rowstullen, near the Women's Stadium. Land might be cheaper the further along the A483 that we go.
For me, I think the Colliers is ideal where it is. But obviously, with the way things are at the moment, that's not going to happen.
Well, yeah, we don't own that, do we? And that's owned by the FA of Wales. Yeah, I do agree. It would be really good. It's quite close to the ground.
That's where they used to train, wasn't it, years ago?
They train there now as well.
No, I know, but I mean, it was owned by the club years ago.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So I don't know really. I think you have to be looking at something a little bit out of town, because I can't see any space in town anywhere. Sort of like, or certainly in centrally where it could be. You also don't want it too far away from the ground, so you don't want the. But having said that, would that really matter? Because if it was a day where you're training, you'd be going straight to the training ground anyway. You wouldn't necessarily have to go to the racecourse, would you? So yeah, maybe somewhere out sort of Rowstullen way, somewhere there's lots of fields around, isn't there? So I think there are lots of potential areas that it could be. There was talk of there's some land not that far from the ground where where B&Q is, a little bit further back there, sort of Summerhill way. There was some ground there that they were talking about potentially turning it into a training ground. I don't know, Luke, if I'm perfectly honest. I think they're definitely looking at sort of places that they could put it at the moment. But for me, I just think they need to get a bit of a move on. Because what you don't want is, you don't want to be in a position where if you continue to push and your infrastructure hasn't caught up, you're going to find it very difficult to attract top players to a club that doesn't really have a home when it comes to training.
Yeah.
So I think you need to be. I know Mike has been brought in specifically to help with training facilities, academy, and redevelopment of the ground and all that sort of stuff. And he has, he's got a lot of plates spinning at the moment. But for me, as soon as you get to the Championship, that's something you either need to come to some cast iron agreement with the FA of Wales for using Colliers Park on a regular basis and using all of the facilities that you get there, or you need to be cracking on and building something for yourself, which in itself can take a lot of time.
For me, I don't understand why the FA of Wales haven't kind of agreed it already, because they agree for them to use it, but they don't agree for them to use the facilities like the showers and all that kind of stuff. I just think it's really, it's at the end of the day, Wrexham is a Welsh team.
Yeah, there's a few reasons for that. So, so the FA of Wales use it quite regularly for sort of training camps and all that sort of thing.
I drive past there going to my mum's, and it's never ever got anybody on it.
No. But
apart from Wrexham, obviously.
What you also have to bear in mind is there are so it's a men's team, and you have to be very careful when you're mixing adults and children in a location.
Yeah,
so if you've got a youth team who are training as part of FA of Wales, then you have to be very careful with what you're mixing on that site with, what is ultimately children using shower facilities and adults using shower facilities as well, potentially crossing up. There's a few different issues that I've been made aware of. That is just one of them. But yeah, there's certain rules in place. Now, yeah, I do agree there could be some sort of agreement that come in place going, right, you're going to come on this day, but and we're not going to do anything at this time. We're going to do it here, and I'm sure there'd be a financial sort of gain in us using Collier's Park. Although, at the same time, we have to remember, one, it's not ours. So we have to adhere to whatever they want us to do, and the other point here is that we're a professional team who train every day. So trying to accommodate somebody who wants to use your facilities every single day for quite a few hours every single day, it all of a sudden does what the projects that you're running suffer because, we can't do it on this day because Wrexham are there. Oh, we can't do it then because Wrexham have got it booked out for 5 hours or whatever it might be. So I just think as a long-term solution, I don't think it's going to work, and I think we need something of our own. Where that's going to be, Luke, I've got no idea. I'm sorry, I can't answer that for you. Kyle, are you going to be easier to spot on the TV when watching matches from home? And this was obviously a comment off the back of the dugouts getting moved. Hadn't really thought about it, to be honest, Cal. So, yeah, that'd be quite exciting. Something else about the dugouts. JW, I hope Parky doesn't get in your line of sight with the new dugout. Let me tell you this. He will be getting told to sit down if he does.
No, he won't.
No, he won't. No, absolutely
not. Brian Layton. Personally, I hate Sheffield United so much it would have killed me to see them get promoted. I wanted to play Sunderland next season, sure. However, I can't wait to sing "We're in the same league" to those donkeys from Sheffield. Hopefully, we can gain promotion to the Prem before them too. That would be even better.
It would.
He sounds really passionate about that, doesn't he?
Yeah, really fired up about it. Yeah. Following up on Ryan's knowledge of the naval term Jack, regarding why people from Swansea are called Jack, I have no idea.
End of question.
It would be funny if it ended there, but it doesn't. But as a former naval officer for the Royal Australian Naval, I can confirm that back during the Victorian era, anyone in the Navy, merchant Navy or seaman was referred to as a Jack tar. I was given the name Jack by my lieutenant commander because my given name is Koa Tar. So there you go. So I
love Koa's name.
Yeah, I got
I think it's lovely.
Bit of knowledge. I did, what I said about naval and stuff like that.
But you've had it
confirmed
by a naval officer.
Yeah, by somebody that actually knows what they're talking about, and not just me pulling stuff from the dark recesses of my mind.
Yeah, so thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you very much. Look, I wanted to talk about us next season being the underdogs again. Because let's be completely honest, we keep getting beaten with the stick of this being a fairy tale, and because
we're buying leagues.
Well, it's more the fairy tale thing because people going, well, it's not a fairy tale. You've thrown loads of money at it. It's not a fairy tale. And, you're not underdogs. You should be getting promoted. I think next season, I don't know how you feel, but for me, I think we are very much back to being the underdogs again.
Yep.
How do you feel about being... Because I'm not sure in your time watching the club we have ever been underdogs, have we? We've always been the team who've had Ryan and Rob, who've spent money and who are expected to do well. And next season is probably the first season where people are going... I've seen people going, look, you're going straight back down. You're really going to struggle. You're not going to get anywhere near mid-table. So I think with all of this sort of stuff, I think we can definitely now say we are back to being underdogs again. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about this is going to be your first season, potentially, of us being the underdogs?
I haven't really got any feelings towards it, to be honest. I think when we went into League One, I don't think we were like obviously in the National League, we were like the top dogs. We were.
Yeah.
We were the top dogs. And then in League Two, we were sort of second top dogs. And then obviously League One, we kind of, we obviously kept our own and all that kind of stuff. But I think the Championship is such a different beast from all the other leagues.
Of course it is. And
so I think that's
why I say we are the underdogs now.
And I don't think any of the, obviously, I know Stephen Fletcher's obviously left now, but sorry, spoiler. But he's played for Premier League teams. James McLean's played for Premier League teams. And as obviously he's gone as well, but Mark Howard, he played for Premier League teams. So it's, what I'm trying to say is, even though we have got some very good Premier League pedigree players, if that's the right way of saying it, I don't think anybody's under any illusion, players, coaches, Parky even, Rob and Ryan, I don't think they are under any illusion that we are going to be the top dogs. I do think that they know that we're going to go in this. When was the last time we were in the Championship? What it was known as back then.
1982?
So.
Maybe?
No.
81?
I'm sure it's before I was
80.
born.
79. Stop me when you feel like...
It was before I was born, so it was before 1982, because I remember you made the comment last week, and I said, that was before I was born.
Yeah.
And you said you were like a few months old.
Yeah,
So, it's been a long time, and things have obviously changed, rules and, all that jazz. So, yeah, I think people are prepared, but I don't necessarily think people are going to just lie back. When I say people, I mean the players. I don't think they're just going to lie back and go, right, we're underdogs this season. We've got something to prove. I don't think that we'll struggle to get to mid-table. I just think people have this preconception that we are going to stay at the bottom of the table all through the season. We're going to get when I say people, I mean opposition fans. I don't mean Wrexham fans, because obviously we want the best for our team.
I think there's a lot of it's.
I have no idea what I just said then.
No, mate. To be honest, I completely zoned out.
I do apologise.
I think they're very mixed opinions about us. There are a lot of people who think we're going to be bottom half. Mm-hmm. We're going to be, one of the teams sort of fighting relegation. You've got people who think we're going to be comfortably mid-table. I've seen in a lot of people's predictions we'll be up and around the playoffs. So
they were last season as well, weren't they?
So I don't think you can take too much about what people say, because I don't think you're right in what you're saying that everyone's assuming we're going to be down the bottom, because from what I've seen, it's a very mixed bag. There are people thinking that we're really going to push on and we'll be up and around the playoffs. I've seen mid-table and I've seen down the bottom as well. So I think what we are next season, which excites me, is we're not just an underdog. What we are is we are an unknown, a complete unknown entity to people.
An unknown dog.
Yeah, because people don't know what because most of the teams here haven't played us for years, so they don't know what to expect. They don't know what to expect from the players that we've got. We will be signing a lot of new players. They don't know. They might think they know what we're about based on watching us last season, but then most of them players might sort of shuffle down the pecking order, and we might have half of a new team to complement what we've already got. So I do think we're completely unknown to people, and I think that might scare a lot of people, because I think they like to know what is in front of them. And in our case, I don't think they do.
Don't think we do either.
We don't, and I think I'm quite excited. Just a couple of stats to freak you out before we move on. Next season, we will be the only team in the Championship who've not been in the top flight. Okay, so that's exciting.
I don't know what that means. Top flight, what does that mean?
The top league in English football.
Okay.
So as in,
I thought that's what it meant, but I wasn't 100% sure.
Yes. We will be the team with the least seasons in the second tier. So obviously the least experience in the second tier. A knock-on effect of that is we will be the team who've won the least games in the second tier. So there's a lot of things that point to us being underdogs next season. But for me, I like that, and I'm excited by it, if I'm perfectly honest. And it's another thing that's sort of unknown for us as fans, is it's the first time that we will have been underdogs under Parky. Mm-hmm. Because we've always risen to the occasion. Last season, a lot of people could say, oh, yeah, but going into the season, you were underdogs. Apart from the first week, a couple of weeks, I don't think we spent any time outside the top three. So I think that dissipated quite quickly.
Yeah.
So, but, so it will be interesting to see how Parky deals with some of the adversity that undoubtedly we will face next season. That will be interesting to see, and I'm excited to see.
Good. Glad you're excited. So some more news. Welcome to Wrexham have announced, or the club have announced, that they're going to be bringing a season 5 of Welcome to Wrexham. So, I mean, it was obvious, wasn't it? We're going into the Championship. I think they'd be stupid not to do another series. So.
Yeah, I wonder how long it can go for sometimes. I think about it, and I think, like, if we're going to be in the Championship for the next 5 years, is that still exciting to people? Do you get me? I don't think you need, with the documentary about Wrexham, I don't think you need to worry about Wrexham fans. Put it on, we'll watch it.
Yeah.
End of.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's Wrexham fans that are getting you renewed for another season and another seasons. It's the fans of either rival teams who are watching it, or it is the fans of nobody who just sort of get into the story. They're the ones who are sort of pushing it on, because, if it's a documentary about Wrexham just being watched by Wrexham fans, I dare say in a year or two that probably maybe wouldn't get renewed again. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see. But I'm really excited. It's back for a 5th season. I dare say a 6th season would be on the cards as well. Maybe 7, maybe 8, maybe 9. Let's just see where it goes.
We know that the obviously over here we don't have that many series of things, do we? We tend to kind of like 6 or 7, maybe, or not even that. But the Americans love love to have lots of seasons. So I'm kind of hoping that keeps them, but I suppose as long as people are interested in the story and people are still watching, then they'll just keep on going.
I would guess so. And, it's as long as something's interesting, isn't
Exactly.
it? As long as it's interesting, just keep going with it.
Exactly.
Just a quick update about the pitch. I did tell you to watch Wrexham AFC Fan Zone on YouTube. He does drone videos daily at the moment about the pitch, and I love watching them. It's really interesting. I'm going to say it in layman's terms because I don't understand everything else. So the heating pipes are in. They've all been laid, 20 miles of them. That's done. And then this is where the layman's terms really kick in. They've put sand on top. They've made it level, and then they've put soil on top.
Do they call it screed?
I have no idea.
No, it's just sand in it.
I don't. It looks like sand, and they've leveled that out, and they put soil on the top, and now they're putting loads of water on it to test the irrigation, and then that's when it starts getting seeded. And then they've got the stitch.
That'll be interesting to watch how they stitch it into the ground.
Unless
they do that away from the ground.
They definitely do that away from the ground. Yeah, okay. There's not like there won't be like
a massive sewing machine.
40 people just stitching the pitch in. No, it definitely gets done away from the ground, rolled in, and then rolled out. Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Look, TST starts this week. Quite exciting. 4th of June, which is a Wednesday. Is it a Wednesday?
It's a Wednesday because that's the day that I start my job.
It's the day Siân starts a new job. Yes, I was fully aware that was the day. So the men's team has been announced. George Boyd is back for Wrexham. David Jones is back as a player manager, and then we got there's a few unknown names on this list as well. So we've got Abraham Rodriguez, Aaron James is going to be there. Liam McAlinden is making a return for Wrexham. James Chester, towering defender. He was in the Euro 2016 squad for Wales. Ben Tozer's back.
I love that they've put Benjamin Tozer in the list.
I know. Brandon Barker, Mark Albrighton, who used to play for Leicester, won the league with Leicester. David Nazeri, Jake Hyde is making a comeback, which was
so bizarre.
So odd. Sak Hassan, Callum Edwards, Yannick Parks, Tom Kelly. I'm happy about Tom Kelly being in it. We'll talk a bit more about him a little bit later in the show. And Alex Moore. They will be adding one or two other players into the mix as well, but we'll come to that in when they're announced. The women's team has also been announced. Del Morgan makes her return, even though she's literally just retired. She's back for TST. Nicole Baxter, Nikki Hames. So there's a couple of lionesses in there as well. So you've got Rachel Unit.
What a name.
That is a name,
Rachel's
isn't it?
a unit.
Yeah, I know. Absolute unit. And Katie Chapman's playing for us as well. Destiny Toussaint, Lindsay Agnew, Gabby Cuevas?
Cuevas.
Cuevas.
If you're going to say it how it looks, Cuevas.
Yeah, Nicolette Dries. Oh, these names are horrible to say. Mia Roberts.
Yay!
We know Mia Roberts. Mia Roberts is back. She's playing Jamie Fields and Ella Dederick. Now, there are no players from the Wrexham women's first team actually in their squad, mainly because of their training schedule and with the season coming up, they haven't actually put any of the women's players into that. But look, I love TST. We have to watch the games quite late at night here. Usually the weekend ones we have to stay up till about 1-2 in the morning, dependent when they're on during the day. I love it, and we will talk a little bit more about TST as the week goes on. As the weeks go on, next week we'll talk a bit more about TST. Let's move on. Bang.
Transfer rumours.
Yeah, so
coming in thick and fast as usual.
As usual. Look, there's one to talk about. because it's been quite persistent this week from a lot of media outlets, let's call it. So it's the Ben Davies rumour. So Ben is a defender, plays for Spurs. He's 32 years old. He is Welsh. He's originally from Neath, and he started his career at Swansea. He's been at Spurs since 2014, and he's made 358 appearances, although he has fallen down the pecking order a little bit, and he is not playing as much as he once was. Every senior league appearance in his career has been in the Premier League, which is fascinating to know. He's a Welsh international with 94 caps. That puts him fourth on Wales's all-time list of caps won.
That's good.
He was part of the 2016 Euros team that went all the way to the semi-final. And this for me would be right up there as a massive, absolute. If there is a grain of truth in this, to sign someone like him would be huge. To give you a little bit of extra info, though, Spurs have announced, I think they announced 4 players that were going to be leaving the club. So basically, their sort of retained list.
Yeah.
A couple of players where their contract had come to an end. There was one that their loan had come to an end. Ben wasn't actually on the list. Now, so a few people have now gone on to say, well, that obviously means he hasn't come to us. His contract is coming to an end on the 30th of June. So surely they would have announced that he's leaving because now that they haven't, then surely he's got like an extension at Spurs. So he's going to be staying there. Look, we just don't know at the moment, in all honesty. Now, just because he hasn't been announced as leaving or staying, so there's been no contract announcement at all, that doesn't necessarily mean anything really. What you got to bear in mind with Ben Davies is he has been at Spurs for 11 years, and he's been a big part of what they've done over 11 years. So if he is leaving, they might not want to lump him in on just a list of players that are leaving. It might be a case of they want to give him a sort of more special send-off than a couple of players.
Like they did with Kevin De Bruyne.
In a way, sort of, maybe not as big as that, but, for a player to have served you for 11 years, perhaps they don't just want to put him on a list as leaving. They want to say, him standalone that he's leaving, maybe. There is another possibility, is there are rumours that talks have already started with Wrexham, and we're trying to, come to a deal for him to sign for us. There may have been a request that went to Spurs that said, look, while the talks are ongoing, a gentleman's agreement, could you not announce that he's leaving and that his contract's not being extended, so that we can have a grace period of a few days or of a week to actually negotiate with him properly, without all of a sudden he's on a released list and he's getting 20, 30 offers from Championship clubs or other Premier League clubs or abroad, all clouding the negotiation. So there might be some sort of gentleman's agreement as to why he hasn't been announced. Or he might have just signed a 12-month extension on his contract with Spurs. We just don't know at the moment. We don't even know whether he has opened up talks with Wrexham or not. We don't know if he's interested in playing for Wrexham. We really don't know. It is just a rumour, but we'll just have to see how this one plays out, I think, and not read too much into stuff that happens to go, oh, it's definitely not happening, or it definitely is happening. We just don't know. So we just got to say we don't know. I think one question his signing would potentially bring up, if it was to happen, would be, what does that mean for Lewis Brunt? Mm-hmm. potentially, what does that mean for Owen O'Connell? Depending where you know you want to play him. I wouldn't like to see Lewis get dumped out the team because I think he's making massive strides forward, and I think he would be a huge player. Although, if somebody like Ben Davies was to come in, I'm sorry, but there's just no competition between the two. So I would be gutted for Lewis, and I would be gutted for us as a club to have a very young, talented player potentially that we could nurture and really push on with. I would be a little bit gutted that he got sort of left behind because we were signing a Premier League player to come in.
Yeah, kicking the teeth, really, innit?
Yeah, sort of. And I think, like I say, it's an amazing signing. But at the same time, are you sort of shooting yourself in the foot by not developing a player like Lewis Brunt, even if he is the one to miss out and to drop out the team because he comes in? He can play at left back as well, though, so that's obviously James McLean.
Oh.
So I don't know. We've also been linked with Aaron Cresswell, who is an out and out left back. Premier League experience, you know. So
when you said Aaron Cresswell, what did you say? Cresswell. I thought you meant the that comedian, but his name's Aaron Cresswell, isn't it?
It is. Yeah, we're not signing a.
Can you imagine?
We're not signing a comedian. No, we absolutely not. Just a quick one about loans as well, because we weren't really sure where the club stood, because in Parky's time we haven't explored the loan market, really.
Not sure, I don't think, have we? Well, apart from Arthur.
We have. Arthur is the one that we have done.
Yeah.
But Parky spoke with The Athletic last week, and he said the loan market is something we are looking at. It's all about touching base with Premier League loans managers, making sure we have an understanding of who could become available. So the loan market might very well be something that we dip our toe into. How do you feel about loans, though?
I suppose if they gel with the team and they get us to where we want to go, then I've got no issue with loan players.
You obviously have an issue with, you struggle when you really like a player and they leave the club. How would you feel about a player coming in where on his first day at the club, you already know when he's going to leave? Is that a little strange? Or are you almost fighting the urge to like them because you know that we can't keep them?
I don't know, really. I've never really thought about it like that, to be honest. I think, yes, I do find it hard to let go of players because that's just the type of person that I am. But I don't really know. I don't know how I'll feel. I think knowing, like with Stephen Fletcher, it was a complete bolt out of the blue. I know he's not a loan player, but do you know what I mean? When he left, it was completely out of the blue. But I think if a loan player comes in and you say, right, I don't know, Peter Wicker or whatever his name is, comes in.
You don't need to give him a name.
No, I know. Comes in. And he's, from the start they say he is on a season-term loan. Is that how you say it?
Season-long loan.
Season-long loan.
But yeah.
I'd be like, oh, okay then.
Yeah,
but then I know.
Sorry, you're talking absolute rubbish. Because I know if that player plays well week in, week out, you'd be in love with them within a month. And then...
Love's a strong word, Ryan.
And then every game you'd be looking at them, almost bursting into tears, going, oh my God, we can't keep them. And so, I don't know, it's a weird one, isn't it? But you just have to I think you just have to look at loan players as a stepping stone.
And also, as well, with loan players, you kind of think they could do, like, massive things for us. And then you think, oh, flipping heck. Mm-hmm. That's it, it's like the Louis Barry thing.
The Louis Barry thing?
He went to Mansfield, did he? Where did he go?
He was at Stockport.
He was at Stockport, but who did he play?
What are you asking me?
Well, there was a player.
He's a Villa player. He's an Aston Villa player, Louis Barry.
And he went on loan to Stockport.
Yes, and
then they called him back, and
it sent him to Hull.
Yeah, but he did massive things for Stock. He helped Stockport out massively.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, oh great, this guy's helped us get to such and such. He's helped us get 300 points. I know that's not going to happen, but I just think that'll be hard.
It will be. There's a lot of.
I don't think I can answer that until it actually happens.
Okay. There's a lot of teams in this position. One of the best players in League One last season was Charlie Kelman for Leyton Orient. Mm-hmm. Doesn't belong to Leyton Orient, but belongs to QPR. So, Leyton Orient, who were one game away from getting in the Championship, are now staring down the barrel of a new season without their best player.
Yeah.
And they had, I think it was Doherty as well, who came from Spurs. So they are, you can put yourself in a bit, because loan players don't always work. They've got a few loan players there that have really worked out for them and have, all at the same time. But then they are sort of staring down the barrel now of potentially a mediocre season because they're losing 2 or 3 of their best players. So that's a tough thing, because if we do really well next season and we really push and we get sort of mid-table or slightly above that, and we've got this little, will they make the playoffs or whatever, and then you go into a new season, you go, right, let's kick on again. But we've got 3 loans in the team and all of a sudden they're gone and we can't have them back. Then I don't know. I think sometimes.
But then you're bringing in, you potentially, if you're going up to the Premier League, for example, you're going to have that higher caliber of player who wants to come and.
I'm not talking about going up. I'm talking about if you stay in the same place and lose. That's what I'm saying. If you finish mid-table,
right, yeah, I get you.
And you think, right, we can really push on next season, then basically you're going, no, you can't. Because your 3 best players are gone now. So what are you going to do now?
Bring in more players.
I don't know. Anyway, welcome to Wrexham. We had Marie get in touch. She said, I had my welcome to Wrexham moment as I was filmed going up the escalator at Cosm and made it into episode 3.
Marie, I'm assuming SoCal is that South Carolina? Oh no, California.
Yes.
So sorry, I was going to ask whereabouts in South Carolina you're from, but it's South California. So let's move on.
Yeah.
So welcome to Wrexham, episode 4.
Yeah.
We watched that the other day.
We did,
and it was. I liked this episode. Because obviously it covered the Christmas period. I just absolutely love Christmas.
Wasn't one of my favourite,
Do you know what made it for me?
Yeah.
Was, and it's actually quite emotional for me watching it, because obviously Gaz Owen was on there, and as he mentioned in the documentary, he had a stroke, and for those of you who don't know, my mum had a stroke.
Yeah.
So I just put a post on Twitter just saying that it was quite a hard episode to watch. It did hit kind of, it hit home because my mum went through the same thing, and Gaz Owen is, he's never met me, doesn't know who I am, but he replied, and he was so sincere in his replies. It was just so nice, and I think he's a legend, and I think it really, that for me, even though it was only a small segment of the whole episode, it kind of hit me, and I quite liked it.
It's quite a nice crossover sometimes, because I know who Gareth Owen is.
Yeah.
And I watched Gareth Owen play, and he was a great player, and he was with us for a very long time. And but you didn't know who Gareth Owen was.
I heard of him, and I knew that he played for us, but I'd never obviously watched him play or anything like that.
But now you've had an interaction. You now know about him and stuff, so it's a nice little crossover, and it was really nice of him to do that and sort of reply.
It was. So thank you, Gaz. I know you're not watching this, but thank you.
Well, he might be, you never know. But like you rightly say, it covered the sort of festive period, the Blackpool game,
Can I just interrupt?
Yeah.
I think the Christmas period for the the whole of the football season is the best part of the season, because it's like the games come thick and fast, and it's, you know, it's Christmas, it's Boxing Day, I love it all. I know you probably don't agree with me, but I don't care. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
I don't know what my favourite time of the season is, if I'm perfectly honest. I have Christmas is a bit weird when it comes to football for me, because I love the Boxing Day game. Yeah,
As long as it's home, it's at home.
Well, yeah, but I mean, but I sort of don't like it as well, because I think when you get to Boxing Day, because Christmas Day is so busy, and then you get to Boxing Day, and I think you just want to chill out a little bit, and then you go, oh my God, I've got to get ready, I've got to go out in the cold and the rain to go and watch the football. And
I love it.
Yeah, but when I'm there, I love it. But I just really struggle with, oh my God, as if we got to go and do this. So I don't know if it's my favourite time of year. I don't know. It's a strange one, really, because, yeah, there are so many games so close together. But, yeah, I don't know. Interesting, that, isn't it? Is it? I don't know. You've sort of thrown me with it. But I think with them 3 games, the Blackpool, the Wigan and the Peterborough, I think it was just, it really hammered home how many times Stephen Fletcher pulled us out of it.
Oh my God.
During the season.
Yeah, I saw a lot on Twitter after that episode. People were saying, so when's the Stephen Fletcher to stay petition starting or protest?
Yeah.
To be honest, watching him score those last minute goals in all 3 of those games.
Weirdly, I forgot. I knew he scored a lot of late goals. Obviously, nature of the beast comes on late. If he scores, it's going to be a late goal.
Yeah.
But I forgot that it was literally back to back games where he'd literally pulled it out right at the death. And yeah, I don't know. It sort of made you feel a bit strange knowing that we don't have that next year. And whoa, we might have better. We might have better.
People are saying that they reckon that Paul Mullin will be the new Fletcher coming on late and making an impact.
I don't know. I think it's very hard. I'd sort of said last week, I feel like Stephen had become a real sort of cult hero at Wrexham, and it's sort of, it was all set up for him to become a cult hero because he only ever made late appearances, when we were sometimes chasing a game or chasing the win, and the quality he had sort of pulled games out of the fire for us and turned him into that sort of cult hero.
Do you think he'll retire now, Fletcher?
No,
I don't. That's worrying, because you kind of think, who's going to be... I know he's 36, isn't he? Is he 36? Or is that James McLean that's 36?
Yeah, he's 37. So Chomp's 38.
Yeah.
Because the episode very much focused on...
those 3.
The oldies.
Yeah, it was sort of like a retirement... Not a retirement, like a geriatric episode.
So it was Chomp at 38 and Stephen at 37. So yeah, I don't think he's quite done yet.
I don't think he's done.
So it'd be interesting to see what happens with Stephen Fletcher. I can't see him getting a club in the Championship.
Maybe not.
Let's put it like that. So I don't think but you just don't know.
Maybe he won't want to play for another. Maybe he will retire because his pinnacle of his career has been at Wrexham.
I don't think so.
I know.
I think he's got a bit more to give.
I do, and that's why. I know we talked about this last week, but it's still really raw. It's still shock that he's not going to be there next season, and we're not going to be singing "There's no one better than Stephen Fletcher."
I know, because they're obviously in the club's eyes, there is people better than Stephen Fletcher. So we'll have to wait and see.
Give the fans what they want and just retract him off the release list.
So it was, on that basis, it was quite difficult to keep reminding yourself that he wasn't going to be there next season.
Mm-hmm.
Mentioned Tom Kelly before. Obviously, he's in TST.
Cracking lad.
Liverpool lad. Really, he's just got a vibe about him that is professional footballer.
Oh yeah,
like someone who has really, really puts the work in. and is somebody that at some level, whatever level that might be, maybe with Wrexham, he is going to make it.
He said his dream was to play for Wrexham first team, wasn't it? That's what he said since he was a little boy. Because I got a bit confused because obviously his mum and dad are very, very Scouse, and so is he.
Yeah.
But the way that I saw it, they live here in Wrexham.
No, I don't think so. They live in... No, I'm pretty sure when they were filming the bits at home... there was a thing at the bottom said Liverpool.
Okay.
So yeah,
that's where I got a bit confused.
I think what you're saying, it is his dream to play for Wrexham now, but I very much doubt it was his dream to play for Wrexham when he was a kid.
Or
probably
Everton.
Liverpool, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Whoever he supports.
Yeah.
But you are where you are, and I like seeing, because we do have people in our academy from sort of like Birmingham, from Liverpool. And, we saw a little bit in the documentary about, the redevelopment of the area that we know into the academy. And we're drawing players in. And as you move up the leagues, more kids want to come and play in your academy, and it's a very exciting time. But he is definitely one that I could see.
Yeah.
It's the only one we've really seen anything about, but you can see it in him, the fight and the desire to actually
like
be a
his dad
professional
said
footballer.
in the episode. He was like he'd go out and he'd play football, snow, rain, sunshine, whatever. And at 8 years old, he'd come home and he'd say, "Right, I'm going for a jog."
Run. Yeah,
it's like blimmin' heck. I mean, that's the sort of player that you want in your team, isn't it? You want somebody who lives, breathes, and whatever, talks football.
Yeah. We had a little Humphrey marathon update.
I feel so sorry.
I just think it's I think I've said this before, but I think having Humphrey involved in the club and the documentary is just a masterstroke, really, because he does offer an element of comic relief.
Yes.
And there is comic elements in the rest of the documentary, but I think having him involved, it just is so good, because he's so comfortable talking, he's so comfortable doing interviews, that he can go off and do all of this stuff that Rob and Ryan either don't want to or are unable to because of other commitments, and he holds his own in situations like live interviews or wherever it might be, and he answers the questions perfectly in a way that the club would want him to answer. And I just think it's a masterstroke having him involved in everything that we do, if I'm perfectly honest. The other thing that we sort of saw during the documentary was the women's team and the purchase of The Rock.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very difficult start to the season for the women, obviously, and they, as we know, spoiler alert, they did sort of turn it around. Maybe the sort of turn in the road came a little bit too late for them to challenge for anything right at the top. But yeah, I'm interested, because I didn't really see a lot of the women's season last season, so I watched a few games here and there. So I am quite interested to sort of watch that from a point of view of, I haven't seen it all before, so it will be interesting. Yeah. I suppose the last thing on the documentary was Parky's 1,000th game as a manager, which is mental, really.
It is mental.
Because that is a long old run in management.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose the beauty of management versus playing is, as a player, you can miss games through injury. You can't really miss games through injury as a manager.
Haven't got I mean, I know you do have sometimes managers have time limits on how long their manager's for, but it's not kind of age restricted like it is if you're a player. Once you hit 30, late 30s or whatever, it's like you're classed as geriatric. But obviously Parky can...
Yeah, you can keep going
Parky
forever.
can be 80, 100, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we're going to have another chat. We're going to have a chat now about two more teams that we're due to face next season. This week, we're looking at Stoke City and Leicester City. I will do Stoke and Siân can do Leicester. Is that okay with you?
Yes.
Perfect. So Stoke City, founded in 1863. They play at the Bet365 Stadium, which is 43 miles away, just over an hour for us. It's actually the closest ground, so they are the closest team to us next season.
So that'll be classed as a derby, will it?
No, it absolutely not. It's not.
No,
a derby,
I know.
but...
What I'm saying, it's ridiculous what they class as derbies. So yeah.
Yeah. So no. Capacity of 30,089. It was only opened in 1997 to replace the Victoria Ground. Sir Stanley Matthews' ashes are buried beneath the centre circle.
That's mad.
Interesting, isn't it?
Buried.
Yes, they're not on. They haven't got like an urn on the centre spot.
I know that.
Yeah, buried beneath.
So I mean, they're in the urn and they're buried underneath rather than scattered around there.
I don't know if they're in the urn. I didn't delve that deep into it. I thought his ashes are buried beneath the centre circle was enough. But clearly I was wrong.
Well, I'm intrigued, so...
Yes, I'm sure you are. They finished 18th in the Championship last season on 51 points. They've been in the Championship for the last 7 seasons. Prior to that, they spent 10 seasons in the Premier League. The last league games with them were 1-0 defeats home and away in the 2001-2002 season. The last time we played them was in 2015, and that was in the FA Cup third round at their ground. Premier League versus non-league tie, obviously, at the time. Mark Carrington put us 1-0 up. I think in about the 73rd-ish minute, something like that. And then they scored 3 in the last 10 minutes to actually to win the game 3-1. I was there. I was there. I was there. So me and my dad went. It was called the Britannia Stadium back then, but we were there. 0-0 for like 70 minutes, and we were thinking we might get a draw out of this. It might be really good. And then Mark Carrington popped up, put us 1-0. It was absolute bedlam. I think there was over 5,000 of us there in the away end. Absolute bedlam. And then, strangely, there's a player called Stephen Ireland they had on the bench. They brought him on, and he just completely changed the game. And they won 3-1.
We were together in 2015, weren't we?
Yes.
We had a child and everything. I can't remember you going to the game.
Can't you?
No, I must have been fobbed off.
It's one of the only times where I went on the bus. So I went on the official coach. Me and my dad went to Stoke. We got a police escort into the ground and everything.
Oh yeah, I remember you saying about that. Yeah, I must have gone shopping that day.
Maybe.
Or looked after our 3-year-old.
Yeah. So they've been in either the Premier League or the Championship for the last 23 straight years. It's sort of, I don't know, it gives me palpitations when I read this stuff out. Nicknames the Potters, for obvious reasons. Famous pottery history in...
Famous for Harry Potter.
Absolutely not. Do not take what Siân just said away with you.
I'm joking.
That is not the reason. Local rivals are Port Vale, but they haven't played each other for 20-odd years. One of the 12 founding members of the Football League in 1888. Fellow podcaster Peter Crouch played for Stoke for 8 years, making over 250 appearances.
So if you want to have a collab, Pete, then get in touch.
Yeah.
Leicester City, so they were founded in 1884. They play at the King Power Stadium, which is about 104 miles ground to ground, which is about 2 hours and 15 minutes. We're all looking forward to going to this ground.
Yeah.
Their capacity is 32,259, so massive. Only opened in 2002 to replace the Filbert Street, which is about 300 yards away from each other.
Yeah.
Gary Lineker opened the new stadium because he played over 200 games for Leicester over 7 years, from 78 to 85. They finished 18th in the Premier League last season on 25 points. That's quite bad, that, isn't it?
It is bad, hence why they got relegated down to the Championship.
Getting relegated down to the Championship, which was good for us because we want to see Leicester.
Yeah.
10 of the last 11 seasons have been in the Premier League. They famously won the Premier League in 2016. They've won the FA Cup in 2021, and one of the only 5 clubs to have won 3 major domestic trophies since 2000.
No. So they're one of 5. They're one of only 5 to have won the
the three
major domestic trophies.
Should have made that in capitals then, so I could emphasise the.
You just missed it out completely.
Oh, did I?
Yeah. So.
Oh, sorry. The last time we played them was a league game at the racecourse in 1982, and that ended in 0-0. I was going to say 0-0 then. For some reason, we've only played them 8 times in our history, which is, it's a fair few, not loads, but
it is very little.
Oh yeah, considering we're nearly 200 years old.
Well, we're 161 years old. To have only played a team
all right
8 times is a very small amount.
Yeah, it's small. We've never beaten them in a league game, only beaten them in once in a League Cup game in 1976. Their nickname is the Foxes. Have they got a fox on there?
They have.
Yeah, I'm assuming that's why they're called the Foxes.
No, I would have thought they've got it on their badge because they are called the Foxes.
You sounded dead posh then. They've got it on there.
Well, they're not called the
Foxes. Why are they called the Foxes then?
I don't know, but they're not called the Foxes because they have a fox on their badge.
Well,
They have a fox on their badge because they are called the Foxes.
So their current manager is Ruud van Nistelrooy, which I know who he is.
Yes.
Yes. Couldn't tell you who he played for. Man United?
Correct.
Yes. They play in blue. One player we won't have to face next season is Jamie Vardy, because he left the club at the end of the season just gone after playing 500 games and scoring 200 goals in over 13 years.
Yes.
Is that classed as good?
Yeah, it is. It is classed as good. Sorry,
Sorry.
Your foot is. It's like, have you got an itchy foot?
No, I just
because you're sitting here going like this, and it's like, it's a bit strange. So.
I'm fiddling. Sorry, I'm just fiddling.
What did you ask me then? You threw me off.
Is 200 goals in 13 years classed as an excellent player?
Yeah, I would say so. So, it's just under 1 in 2, which, is huge, I would say, for a club.
Sign him, Wrexham.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
Maybe not. Look,
Fantasy still going on.
Fantasy. Well, it's obviously finished now because the season's finished. But Fantasy EFL update. Obviously, I didn't take part because I didn't know it was going on during the playoffs. But the playoff Fantasy EFL winner. First was C. Gardner, second was Tarden, and Dale was in 3rd place.
So those 3 there, they've won the whole thing?
No, this is just the
playoff. What?
Yeah.
Who won the whole thing for the...
we announced that a couple of weeks ago.
I can't remember.
I don't know. Maybe you'll have to go back and watch the episode. I don't remember.
Okay.
Look, if you do want to support the show, you can do that by buying us a coffee, and you do that by visiting buymeacoffee.com/me the wife, which is on the screen now if you are watching on YouTube, just in case you didn't hear me properly. You can get in touch with the show. You can comment on the video, click contact the show on the podcast, or all the social media, Blue Sky X, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Threads, or email us at methewife and wrexhamafc@gmail.com. Quick shout out for Dragon Chat. So it's a mental health peer support group. They run 2 weekly Zoom calls. One is on Monday at 8 p.m. and that is for women. The other is on Thursday at 7 p.m. and that is for men. If you want to find out how to get on them calls, it is down in the description of this video. Alternatively, go to the Wrexham AFC website, go to the Communities tab, and go to the Health tab under Communities, and you'll find Dragon Chat in there. So, it's a Championship grounds quiz, because we're going to be visiting a lot of these next season.
This is not going to be good.
Why? Why don't you think it's going to be good?
Did you just lead in that? Why? I'm just gonna put it out there now. This is going to be terrible for me. But if it's not, bonus.
Okay. As I've mentioned before, this is question 1, by the way.
Okay.
Going straight in. As I've mentioned before, we have the smallest ground in the Championship next season. But how many seats less than the biggest ground do we have? Okay, do you get the question before I...
I think so.
Okay. Do you want me to read it again?
Yes.
Okay. As I've mentioned before, we have the smallest ground in the Championship next season. But how many seats less than the biggest ground do we have? Okay.
I get it.
Okay. The reason I read it out again, I could see in your face. You were just going, yeah, it's fine. I was going, no, she doesn't.
Just going to pluck a figure out of there. Yeah.
16,580, 19,312, 23,508, or 29,232.
The second one.
It's 19,000. No. It is 29,232. So there is a club out there who have 29,232 more seats than us.
And I bet we'll still get a crap allocation for us away tickets.
We'll get pretty good next season.
But we can't say much, can we? Because our allocation for away tickets is not great. Yeah.
Question 2. So the biggest ground we will face next season has a capacity of 39,732. But who does that ground belong to? Is it Coventry, Sheffield Wednesday, Leicester City, or Southampton?
Ooh. Read them out again, sorry.
Coventry, Sheffield Wednesday, Leicester City, or Southampton?
I'm gonna go. Oh no, it's not Leicester because we just read them out. That's 30,
what was the capacity?
32,000.
Okay, all right.
Obviously, there's like other numbers after that, but around 32,000. Coventry. I'm going to go Sheffield Wednesday.
It is Sheffield Wednesday, so it's Hillsborough. So Hillsborough was obviously used quite regularly for like FA Cup semi-finals, and the reason for that is it's so big. So yeah.
How many? What's their capacity?
Just under 40,000.
That's mad.
Yeah, I know. Question 3. Some grounds next season are further away than others, but which ground is the furthest away? Is it Norwich, Southampton, Ipswich, or Portsmouth?
Ooh, I think it's between. I'd say it's between Southampton and Portsmouth.
Okay.
Yeah, I can tell by the sound of your voice. Okay. I'm going to go Portsmouth.
Okay, so slightly contentious this is. Okay. I think I will allow you to have a point, even though it's not the answer I have down.
Okay.
Okay, so Southampton's 218. Okay. Ipswich is 226. Portsmouth is 236. And Norwich is 237. Okay. So Norwich is 1 mile further away than Portsmouth is. So the answer I've actually got down is Norwich. But because they were so close, I did it a couple of times. And depending on what app you put it into, they do change. So on one app, Norwich was 236 and Portsmouth was 237.
I'll take it.
So I will give it you. And if you'd said one of them two, I was going to let you have it.
I'll take it.
Because it was a little bit back and forth. So you can have that one.
Thank you.
Question 4. As we know, Stoke City is our closest competitor next season at only 43 miles away. But what's the next closest? Is it Birmingham City, Preston North End, Blackburn Rovers, or West Bromwich Albion?
I would say... Read them again, sorry.
Birmingham, Preston, Blackburn, West Brom.
So I think it's between Preston and... What was the other one?
Birmingham, Preston, Blackburn, West Brom.
So I reckon Preston and Blackburn are the two. It's out of those two.
Okay.
I'm going to say Preston North End.
Okay. So West Brom's 75 miles away.
Okay.
Blackburn's 73 miles away. Birmingham is 81 miles away. And Preston, which was your answer, is correct. It's 72 miles away. So there we go.
Do you like my way of deduction?
Yeah. I'm not sure what your way of deduction was, but it worked.
Just like,
Keep talking until something pops up.
Well, yeah, but then I forget. I think, and then I forget what the answers are.
So you got 3 out of 4. So this one for 4 out of 5. So decent.
Okay.
If you went to every away game next season, starting at the racecourse and returning to the racecourse after each match, how many miles would you travel in the season? 3,488, 4,924, 6,556, or 8,112?
The second to last one.
6,556. Correct. It is 6,500. So 6,500 miles if you were to go to every game.
That's a lot.
It is a lot. We're not going to be doing it, obviously, because we're not able to go to every game.
No, because some of them are on Tuesday nights and
yeah, all that sort of
work
stuff.
commitments and family commitments.
4 out of 5. Did very well there.
Thank you. See, I'm going to do this next week.
What's
I'm going
that?
to say I'm going to do atrocious.
Yeah.
And then I don't do so bad.
I think you all... But sometimes you're right when you say that, though. That's the problem.
Probably 9 out of 10 times. If I say I'm bad, I'm going to be bad. But yeah, I'm happy with that.
We'll see. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much for joining us again this week. Have a great week, and we'll see you again next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.